Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to the community live stream. My name is Chuck Tomasi, Senior Developer Evangelist at ServiceNow, guy with the cool bow tie, coming to you with another episode of the community live stream to bring you the answers behind the answers, the thought process that goes into all that stuff, all that discovery that you can learn and take to your job to be a better, more effective ServiceNow administrator and or developer. So today is April 27th. It is Monday. The year is 2020. And in this episode, I will be covering some API adventures. This is part of that larger community live stream theme that we have. It's Purple Day, so I'm going to be digging into APIs this time around. Scripting. So we'll have all the scripting code available up on GitHub. You can see that there. We can, let me get down in the corner. You know what? I jumped ahead a little bit. Let's talk about YouTube. Got this on YouTube. Mark it as a favorite. Like it if there's something in here. Subscribe, notifications, all that good stuff. Also covering this on Twitch over at twitch.tv. And any JavaScript that, if you want to learn more about JavaScript, because we will be doing some scripting in here, that'll be available on our GitHub repo, or you can learn more about it there. Did those backwards again. Learn more about JavaScript at the URL you see there, and there. Find the code snippets. I'll post those immediately after this broadcast. So thank you very much for everybody who's joining me live. We're going to work out the format of this new thing sooner or later. And did I miss anything? Subscribe? No, got it all. You know what? Let's just jump right into it. So today's topic, go to page 2. Today's topic, I am going to be covering some scripting things to help copy multiple fields and make your code flexible so you don't have to go back to dev when somebody has a really minor change. Let me give you the use case where this comes up a lot for me. I often have, make this a little bigger if I can, I often have, say, a list of projects, a list of tasks, a list of some sort of record that has related records underneath it. I'm going to say, for my case, I'm making some videos. Okay, here's where I'm going to make a flow designer video. I've got another record to track where I'm doing the REST API, and underneath I have a series of tasks. Okay, your related records may look different, but you may have certain ones you want to block along. You want to copy those records, and not all of the fields, because this to-do table is extended from tasks, so you get 66, 67 fields for free. I don't need to be going into duration and business duration, but there are fields that I want for my process copied. Okay, so here are some template tasks. Let's say I've got 3 of them. It could be 3, it could be 30, it could be 25. You get the idea. This is the flexible part. And I've got them in a certain order. All of these are task fields. I haven't done anything special. I've got a short description. You should recognize these if you've been around ServiceNow for a little while. If not, task has a whole bunch of fields. All I did is take, if you look in Studio, the template task field extends the task table, and I don't even think I added anything on here. There's no additional fields. It's just a series of templates. Now, value of that is you've got data-driven application. If somebody says, I need a new template, or let's deprecate that one, or let's switch the order, you're just changing data. You're not going into some workflow and changing the field values and what's getting copied. And that's too brittle. You don't want to have to go back to dev every time someone says, we need a new task created, or can you change the order? Those are minor. That's data. To me, that's just go in, change it, done. Or delegate somebody to do that and say, you go change it. I hereby bless you and give you a role and have fun with it. All right, that's the important thing. Oh, speaking of important things, I forgot to give a shout out to the people that are joining live. Thank you, Rafi, John, Tomaz, Carolyn's here, Drew's here, Dave, Gayan, and Steve. Happy birthday, Steve. Steve just had a birthday. So everybody who's live, wish Steve a happy birthday. He made another revolution around the sun. So congratulations. We're all with you on that one. And hope everybody is staying home and staying happy and healthy and washing your hands and all that good stuff too. Okay, back to ServiceNow, now that we got our sidetrack. So we've got this series of template tasks. And as you saw, I've got 3 of them. And I've got videos. What my goal is here is to create a UI action that says, let's copy these template tasks into this table. So I need certain fields off of all of the records to create new records, okay? If I were going to do this brute force way, I've already baked this in the oven so you don't have to watch me do this, but I'm going to walk through the script with you. And I'll turn it into a UIAction, and then we're going to improve upon it, okay? It's going to look for all of the template task records. Don't get wound around the axle on this part that says constants.template task table. That's just defining a table. It's a little trick I use. I have a script include in my app called constants. And in there, I have my tables. So you can take this and recreate it, and all you'd have to do to make it work is change, instead of going through every script and go, where did Chuck reference a table, where did Chuck reference a table, you could just change it right here in the constants and go, there's all the table definitions that'll ever be used in this application. So change them once, be done with it. Again, make maintenance easier on yourself. Little trick I talked about a while ago. I may get back into that one at some point. All right, so we go through all of the template records. I'm not doing any filters. I probably could. I probably should. Maybe use the active field. It's on the task table. Why not? We could put that in there and say, just give me the active template records. The rest, if you want to deprecate them, you don't delete them. You could just, not going to get into the management and maintenance of all these records. Then for each one that I find, note the comments, it's helping me this morning because I wrote this a couple days ago. I'm going to copy all the fields. Oh, that's not what I wanted for this bad example. This is not in a for loop. There, forgot to take the last part out. Change the indentation here. Boom, diddy boom. This is too slow. Somebody knows a way to do indentation faster on VS Code, please tell me. So I am going to hook up all of these records, make sure that my parentheses go with what goes with what. That doesn't go there. Okay, so brute force would be, I want the name, I want the description, I want the order, and note that I am doing a dotted notation. I'm doing this on purpose to show you something. This is not the best way. This is not the best way, but it will work. So let's take that and start constructing our UI action. In Studio, create application file, server, development, UI action. And let's put this little sidebar away so we can see just a little bit more. I call this create template tasks, copy from template task. Oh, create default tasks. Sure, let's do that. Create that, and I'm going to make this a form link. It will show up right under the related links on the table video, which is my video table. That's where I want it. Another good practice in your UI action is to give them a name. Even if you never ever use it, it can prevent problems down the road. So I'm going to call this CLS copy template tasks. A unique name is often helpful. Don't start it with sysverb, you get into all kinds of hot water there. Do I want it on a new record? No, because I need to relate to the current record, which I don't have yet. So let's leave that alone at the moment. I will just create it on updated, on existing records. Okay, then we will paste this in here. Before I test this, I would very, very much like to test it outside the UI action. So what I propose is not dumping this directly into the UI action. That's a lot of code for me. I don't like my UI actions to be very long, makes them harder to test, harder to maintain. Let's go and create a new script include. So server development, I like to take these little functionality blocks, even if they're only used once, put them in a script include because you can unit test them. That's my favorite part. So let's create a script include. It's a server-side library, if you haven't got familiar with that. And I will call this template task. Okay, it has, I usually associate a script include per table. I found that very useful for determining if something exists or if you want to create a new record or add a new record. I could create these methods or functional blocks around the things I do with that table. Generally, the way it works. There may be other ones wwhere you're translating HTML from encoded to UA. Okay, but as a basis, it prevents me from creating one monolithic script include and makes these easier to manage. And by default, it puts in the script include name. I am going to call this copy templates. Give it a function name and pass it something. What do I need to pass it? Well, I've got my hands on the parent record, and I need to have all these little associated template records link their copies linked to that parent record. So I need the video record. That's going to be the parent. Okay. You could use this for other functions, other tasks. Maybe it's copying from videos, it's copying to demos, or it's copying to scripts, or it's talking to something else. You could use that same template library concept, and maybe this same function works on different things. For my use case, I'm going to give it an appropriate name. Let's paste that in, align it. That alignment was done very easily. That's what I'm looking for in VS Code. I select all or select a region and hit Shift Tab. It does the indentation for me, because not all of them have this little, where is it? In format code button on the tiny MCE. We did have a discussion with our development team about that. Can we make these script boxes a little more consistent? Working on that. Okay, following through again. This does this. It goes through and gets all the records. It copies them, and video GR is down here to connect the copy reference to the parent record. Okay, so I have a to-do. My to-do table is also extended from tasks. So I've got my template tasks, and I've got my to-do tasks. These are the to-dos that are related. And this one does, in fact, have a video column that references my video table. That's really the only thing I added to this task table. It's very easy to set these things up. Get the idea? So back to my script include. I would need to test it with a video GR. So let's do that. Save my script include. It's called template task, and this function is called copy templates. Over in VS Code, I'm going to make a quick little test script. Var gr equals new glide record, and whatever my template, my video file, excuse me, my video table, which I should have in my constants list, but I don't. Or do I? Did I put that in? No, I just have the to-dos and the template tasks. So let's put that in there as well, because I can never remember my PDI number. I'm going to copy that over here, call that constants.video. Ooh, that's not right. There's a constants.constants in there. Good catch. Thank you, whoever said that. Table equals that. See, now I don't have to remember table names. I just remember what my declarations are. Much easier for my brain anyway. So constants, just got to spell it right, video table. And that jumps out at me as a constant. We'll do a gr.get on one of these records. I don't know which one yet. So let's go find one. Video record, we'll pick Flow Designer demo for no other reason that it was in the first in the list. Copy sysid, go back here, paste in that sysid, and we have ourselves a glide record in 2 whole statements. There's my, go get me a sample record. Now let's also get our task utilities, which was called template task. We're going to do a new, I forgot the new. That will drive you nuts if you forget the new. It's a very hard error to interpret and understand. And then call it. Yes, we could do this all in once. I'm just being a little verbose here today. Copy template. Was it plural or singular? I do not remember. That's where it helps to go like this. It's template task, and it is copy templates. Plural. Copy, paste. As Dave Slusher says, programmer's best friend. Pass it my glide record, and there's my test. I can take that, put it into scripts background, which I have a shortcut for, paste it there, run it, and it says, sorry, new record from scope, CLS23 was granted, to do GR insert is not defined. I have a typo somewhere, and I can tell you it's probably right there. I forgot a dot on that. Okay, so I'll fix that so when I submit it to GitHub, you will get the right copy. But meanwhile, back in Studio, on my script include, I'm going to fix it there as well. That is not a real thing. That is. No, it's to do gr dot insert. Make sure I change that here. I would have worked that up for you too. That would have been fun. Help you find a, did I hit save there? Save there. Good there. Not toad. T-O-D-O. Trying to go a little too fast this morning, I think. There it is. Let's go back to scripts background, run it, and ooh, we got an insert. We got 3 records inserted. You can see that right there. Let me do that cursor pointer thing, right where it says insert 3 records. Let's go make sure they got hooked up right. So here's my flow designer, reload the form, and I have 3 tasks. Pretty simple, right? That's the brute force way. That's not what I'm here to show you. I'm functionally, this is working great for sake of example. But we can make this better. We can make it less prone to someone coming up and saying, I'd also like the priority field copied. Okay, I was like, oh man, I gotta go back to dev, I gotta modify my script, go through all the change management process. Don't bother. Okay. Better way number 2 is let's define which fields we want. Okay. Better way. Define the fields to copy. Now, I know Steve is out there and you've heard me talk about getValue many, many times. This, as I mentioned, is not a good practice. I know it looks simple and it's really cool, but you got to remember that name is a field on a table. It is an object. It contains many, many things other than just the value. For example, functions like get display value. Okay. Same thing on the right-hand side of this equation. It's going to mess you up. It will, when you get to Service Portal and you're like, give me the name of the person, and it's like, this is an object, it doesn't display right. Okay. You really want to do something like this, getValue name, and this side should be setValue. Okay. What are you setting? You're setting the name field to this. So that is an entire statement. I've got a function inside a function. I'm setting the value of name to whatever the return value of the template name field says. Very cool. You can use these field names, but obviously doing this 5, 6, 20 times is not optimal. What I'd like to do is make that more flexible by defining these fields, and we'll call it field list. Again, not very imaginative this morning, and I'm going to put in name, what was the other one? Order, description, short description. We don't need sysid. You don't want sysid. You don't need number. You don't want number. You want those to be generated when you create this new record and assigned to, okay? Assigned to. Let's spell that correctly. There's my list of fields, and there is my array. So what can you do with that? Well, this is where the fun comes in. This is where we would create a quick little loop to go over that array. For I equals 0, I less than field list dot length, I plus plus. And before I forget, let's do a file save as. File save as to the other file. Replace that because it had a typo in it. And I want to do basically this line, but substitute in the variables. Now, I don't like typing subscripts more than I have to. So I'm going to call a little variable f field list sub I. Just give me a copy of whatever that field list value is, And instead of hard coding name, I put in F. It's going to be name, it's going to be short description, it's going to be assigned to, it's going to be order. It's going to go through every one of those fields, there and there. Now I can get rid of all of this. And when somebody says, oh, Chuck, please save us, we need to add another value, we need to add the priority. You come up here to this field list and say, great, I'll add priority. Okay? And you're done. It's going to start copying priority from that point forward. I'll give you another little tip in a second on how that works. Let's take this function and go from here down to here and replace that in our script include, which is over here in the template task. Collapse that again. And instead of this inefficient way that has lots of hard-coded field values, we'll put that in, select all, align, and it didn't like something here. I'm missing a parenthesis. Thank you, syntax checker. This one probably freaked out too. It had a little light bulb on it. Save that, and let's go test our script again. But before we do that, let's delete the tests that were there, because I don't need 6 of them. I want to make sure I get 3 and only 3. 3 shall be the count. 5 is right out. And go to run script. 3 more inserts. Let's go make sure that all the fields and whatnot copied. I can refresh this list right here on the related list by clicking that link. There they are. And assigned to Ed, assigned to Chuck, assigned to Lacey, write script, create. Let's sort those by order. 100, 200, 300. Looks like I got my script. Very nice. Make it even more efficient. This is the part I absolutely love. Here's where you get into some fun to really help reduce your maintenance later on. Instead of going back to dev and editing this script to put in the priority column, let's create a property. So create application file, property, system property. You can create system properties. They are very valuable, very easy to use. And I have a little internal discussion with myself every time I create a property. So is this changing the behavior of the application, or is it something I just need at runtime? The properties are cached, which means they're very fast, very responsive. If you change a system property fairly frequently, like maybe more than once a week, I probably wouldn't use a property, because every time you change the value of that property, it clears the system cache, which means anyone who's loading a form or any kind of page, it's got to rebuild the system cache because you just purged it. Actually, I had one coworker who said, why is my instance running so slow? It was because every few seconds they were setting a system property behind the scenes in a script, and that was flushing the cache, which meant the next time somebody did something, it was slow, because they had to reload the cache, and then it was purged, and then they had to reload it, and it was purged, and it was just really crippling the system. As soon as we took that out and realized a better way to do it is probably put it in a table if you just need a quick glide record query or set value, you're not crippling the system. So be aware that system properties are purged. Okay, let's do task.field.list. Use underscores, dots, your notation, whatever. Because I'm in a scoped application, it puts in the full name, which is my system property. I am going to copy that because I will need that in a moment. Okay, which fields to copy from the system, the template record to the target to do. And a nice notation to whoever's doing this is to say it's comma separated so they know what's going on. Let's save that for a moment. Going to go back over to my script include, and we're getting a little cramped here on this stuff. So I'll put away a couple tables. I don't need the tables out right now. We know that they are working. And what I can do is, instead of defining this in the script, it's now going to come from a property. So let's do this. Var field list equals gs.getProperty. give it the property name. Then I ask myself next, what happens if that property is not set? Ooh, that'd be bad. It's going to return a string. So what I should do is send it a default value like this for our default fields. And I'm going to clean that up because that is not a comma separated string. But this is, if I clean this up just real quickly, this is also what I'm going to be setting as the default value on my property. So ask yourself, when I set a property, what happens when it doesn't come back with a value? Maybe somebody did not set that property. Maybe they set it to blank. I don't know. That would be a bad day. So here is my default value, which I am, get that right, in a string. I'm also going to copy that now that I've got it nicely formatted. I know I'm missing a semicolon. I'm going to get that. Thank you, syntax checker. I'm going to put that into the value of my system property. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Save that. Script include says, go get that. And on line 9, if you don't, then use default fields. And I want to show you what's happening there real quickly with a gs.info. gs.info field list equals. But you're saying, Chuck, you used field list as a string up here, but in the script down below, it's iterating over an array. We need to turn this field property into a string, into an array, which we can do property to field property. We can do that with a split. So now field list is no longer an array declared right there. We're going to get field property dot split, very handy string function if you haven't used it before. And our delimiter is in the quotes, which is going to be a comma. So take this string, look for commas, split it up. Also handy for using join. We talk about that in the JavaScript series on splits and joins. Way handier than trying to build your own comma-separated strings. Join is the counterpart, is the inverse of split. Okay, use it. Now field list is our array. We get the array from a string. The string is in a property. If somebody wants to yank our chain later, we can go and change the system property and put it in there. Let's test it out. Submit that. Oh, I didn't. All right, I inadvertently submitted the UIAction. We're not going to use it yet because I haven't tested this new method with the property in it. We should be able to go and clear out these 3 records again. Delete that. You notice I have priority on that list for a reason, but it's not being copied right now. And go test it out. Same script, same test script. I'm just calling the same function. Run it, and oh, I get a problem here. It says default fields. Okay, I have a typo. Easy to find. Somewhere in my script include, I forgot a T on default fields, which is right there. Should have noticed it wasn't blue. It's very subtle that it's a darker blue, which is almost black. We need to make that like red when it's not right. That'd be handier, wouldn't it? Okay, let's go back and try that again. And we get 3 new records. Let's make sure that we have some assigned tos and whatnot. Looks pretty good. I also have a system property that I can change to affect that. And if I go to my template tasks, let's set some priorities. I have priority 1, 2, and 4. And somebody says, guess what? We're now using priorities on our templates. I want you to start using those on the rest of the thing. All I got to do is change that system property, which, depending on your change management processes, you could do in production. You could. I'm not saying you should, but you could. That's why I like properties is I don't have to go mess with any code. And messing with code means you have a higher risk. So I type in priority here. I update that. Let's clear out the old ones under that video for Flow Designer. And delete, delete, delete. Good. You know what? There's the related link. Let's go adjust it so that it's using the same code as my test script, which should really be, we could do a one-liner. In my UIAction, it now comes back a lot cleaner rather than a whole bunch of code, which doesn't seem to be there until you hit reload form for whatever reason. A whole bunch of code. I can put in my function call, which really could be one line because I'm not returning anything and I don't really need it. I can combine the script include with the function call like that, pass in the current record as my glide record, and say stay on the form, action.set redirect URL current. Okay, we could even put in a handy friendly message, gs.add, I like this one, trivial message. This is one of my new favorites. Okay, tasks copied or created. There we go. To-dos created. Let's update that. Pretty simple looking UI action. Easy to maintain, easy to debug because I've abstracted the working part from the action part. Makes it easier to test and maintain. Let's reload that so I get the right UI action. Make sure that I don't have any tasks in the way. Create default tasks, and I get, oh, it didn't give me a trivial message. You know what? That might be a service portal? Might be a client-side thing. I might be wrong. Maybe there's not a GS counterpart for it. I'll have to do an add info message. But look, now my priorities are copying. Let's go test that other one, just in case someone went, ha ha ha, I'm going to delete your crazy property here. This is still going to work because it says, I'm going to set these as default because if I don't get this from the property, I'll use that. There's a second argument there. You can use this in true-false fields. You can use it in string fields. You can use it in number fields. Just put like, hey, comma 10. If you didn't get a property, use comma 1000. Okay, it will use that. Always treat the return values from gs.getProperty as a string. Otherwise, you're going to try comparing strings and numbers, and when you try and concatenate them, you might get strings concatenated rather than numbers added together. Just a friendly reminder, never assume JavaScript is giving you the data type you want. In this case, I did want a string, I got a string. There we go. We don't need that anymore. Let's go fix this from a gs. Oh, it wasn't there. It was in my add info message. I thought there was a trivial message. You know what? Let's go look that up. I want to know where that is. In the developer portal, let's look for add trivial message. Is it a client script thing? Widget API. Oh, it's only in a widget? Add error message, debugging widgets. Yes. Darn it. It is. I've used it on Service Portal, and I was hoping it would work here, but it doesn't. Rats. So let's go look at Glide System. Glide System, which is the verbose way of saying GS. There's, oh, that's a learning plan. Let's not do that. We want, I like the search working a lot better these days. APIs. Let's go to reference, class Glide System. And we have some methods in here. Scroll down to the methods. I just want to see them. Add error message, add info message. Okay, let's change that to an add info message then. There's today's lesson. Trivial message is only available in Service Portal. Add info message. Nice little friendly message to our people who are playing along at home. Okay, at this point we have no property. We're testing to make sure that the default fields are being set. So let's get rid of those. We should see same thing with priorities all set to 4, just to make sure that this works. Delete, delete, delete. And try it again. Create default tasks. To-dos created. All the priorities are 4. The other fields came in. I know that it's using the non-property ways of doing properties. So there you go. The secret sauce to all of this that I really wanted to point out is being able to declare a string or an array out of a string. At some point you get to an array, and using setValue with a string variable and getValue with a string variable. That's really what makes this magic all happen. The rest of, notice this was just kind of set up for the storyline, but you get the idea. I've used this on incoming REST APIs that need to translate things into a target. When they match, it's great. If they don't, you're going to have to set up a little mapping, and you can go through an object and take source and target fields and make your own thing. Okay, just, you get the idea of how setValue and getValue are particularly important for setting up the values in a record, getting away from that assumption that gr.number is a string. It's not. It's an object. And just a lot of great stuff. So let me see, make sure I covered everything that I wanted to cover today. Oh, one other bonus, since we're here. Okay, I've got 3 tasks on here. I don't need to create default tasks again. Let's make this UIAction a little smarter by going back to our script include and saying, let's make another function called hasTasks. Okay, all I want to know is, does this video gr have any tasks? If it does, then I don't want to place that on the, I don't want to display the UIAction. So same kind of thing, var gr, let's do to-do gr equals new glide record. This will be out of constants dot, can't remember. That's why I made this to-do table. Made it simple for myself. Then I lost it. To-do table. To-do gr dot. We just need to get records, but we only need 1. If there were 10,000 in here, it would be really slow just to do this. I just want to see, is there 1 record? And the easiest way to do that is to do a set limit 1. It says don't ever get more than 1 record. You're either going to get 0, you're going to get 1. This makes the glide record query very fast. If you had 10 million to-dos on this particular project, it would only get 1, much faster. So keep that in mind. Then we'll do a query, say fine, go fetch it, and return to-do gr has next. That simply says true or false. You have a record, you don't. It doesn't even fetch the record. I don't need the record. I just need to know, is it there? And I can test that over in my test script by changing this to gs.info has tasks equals, change this to has tasks, put that in there, pass that in, copy it just in case the world blows up. It says true, this does. Great, I believe it because when I look at the form, there they are. If I delete these records and test it again, it says false. Good, I have a way to determine. Now, my UIAction only needs to be displayed if new template task has tasks current. Oh, that says true, it does have tasks. I want it to say only run this when it's false. So I put an exclamation point or a bang in front of that, and I get a nice, lovely, say, don't display this if it has tasks. Test this out. UIAction's a little smarter now. I don't need that if there's already tasks in place. Reload it. There's the instructions. Click it, it creates it, link gone. I can only fire this off once when there are no tasks. So double bonus here, 1 for using properties, 1 for making the UIAction a little smarter to only display when it needs to, and putting that logic into the same script include around that task management thing. So very cool. I am going to leave you with that. And on that note, hope you learned something. Remember, click the like button, that kind of thing. Make sure I got all my points here. Use getValue and setValue with the variables for flexible construction. Update the property. Put it in a script include. There you go. So thank you for joining me today. I will hopefully see you again on Thursday morning, because I'm going to do this on Mondays and Thursdays, with some questions and answers from the community, your questions and answers from the community that I've pulled out, said that would make a great discussion point. There's a whole lot to say around that doesn't go into the answer. So we'll get back to that on April 30th. So see you there. Set your alarm, 2 p.m. UTC. And until then, take care. Have a good time. And is the music going to want to run? Of course not. Wonderful. Okay, if that made a sound, then I know that this is ready. There we go. See you later. Bye now.